This video is for lesson 34-2, volume of prisms and cylinders. Learning goals are to solve problems involving the volume of a prism and problems with the volume of a cylinder. In the last section, we worked with surface area of three-dimensional objects. In this section, let's discuss volume, which is the amount of space contained within a three-dimensional object. In example A, there is a cylinder, and its volume is 450 cubic feet. So first of all, notice that the unit for measuring volume is cubic units, not square units like you use for area. Example A also has the formula you use to find the volume of a prism or a cylinder. For a prism or a cylinder, the formula is volume equals B times H, where the capital B is representing area of the base. The H is the height of the cylinder or the prism. Now, in the case of a cylinder, because the base is a circle, that same formula is often written like this: V equals pi r squared times H, because pi r squared is how you find the area of a circle base. Let's skip down to the try these problems and use those formulas to answer the questions. Question A. The volume of a cylinder is 220 cubic centimeters. That's telling us the answer for V. The radius is 5 centimeters. That's telling us the answer for R. What is the height of the cylinder? So we're going to use the volume formula for a cylinder, V equals pi r squared H, and make our substitutions. 220 goes in for V, 3.14 goes in for pi, and 5 goes in for R. The letter H is the one we don't know. Now you can multiply 3.14 times 5 squared to get this as a single number. That makes 78.5. So this equation is 220 equals 78.5 times H. Divide both sides by 78.5 to get the letter H alone. The answer is H equals 2.8 centimeters. Now question B, the volume of a cylinder is 90 cubic meters. So again, we're given the answer for capital V. The circumference of one of the bases is 27 meters. So circumference equals 27 meters. Determine the height of the cylinder. Like the last one, we want to find the answer for H. Because this discusses volume, we're going to use the volume formula. Volume equals pi r squared H. Substitute 90 in for capital V. For pi, put in 3.14. Now we need to figure out what to put in for R, the radius. And what we have to work with is the circumference of the circular base. Think back several sections to when we were studying circumference of a circle. Circumference equals 2 times pi times r. We know that that's 27. If we divide both sides by 2 pi, we will have the answer for r. So r equals 4.3. Now we know the number to fill into our formula. Like in question A, we'll type this in the calculator to get this as a single number in front of H. We can then divide by that number to get the letter H alone. I'm going to pause the video for you to solve for H. The answer is 1.5 meters. Question C. The volume of a prism is 120 cubic feet. Actually, it doesn't say cubic feet, but because it says the word volume, I can tell that this is a typo on the paper. This should say feet cubed right here. The width is 15 feet. And the height is 4 feet. What is the length? Again, this problem discusses volume like question A and question B. So let's start with the volume formula. Volume equals area of the base times the height. For V, fill in 120. For area of the base, let's leave that blank for now. And for height, fill in 4. Now let's go back and do a little bit of work with area of the base. Because the base of a rectangular prism is a rectangle, the area of the base is found with length times width. I'm filling in L and W. We don't know the answer for L, that's what we were asked to find out, but we do know the answer for W, 15. We can solve this equation for L. 15 times 4 makes 60, and then you can divide both sides by 60 to get L equals 2 feet. Move ahead a little bit in this packet until you come to the drawing of the two tents, tent A and tent B. Let's say we wanted to find the amount of space inside tent A. Do you notice that tent A is half of a cylinder? So even though we don't have a formula to find the volume of half of a cylinder, we can create a formula. So the volume for tent A is half of the volume formula for a cylinder. For pi, fill in 3.14. For the radius, it's the distance from the center out to the edge. That's 3. And for the height, it's the distance from one base to the other base. In this case, it's the 8. Next, you take a calculator and type this in to get the answer. Let's go to question B. Find the volume of tent A. You need to decide what shape tent A is. It is a triangular prism. So write the volume formula that you use for prisms. For capital B, we're going to fill in the area of the triangular base. And for H, we're going to fill in the height of the prism. That's a 7. Now let's go back in and fill in the area of the triangle. We want to find the area of this front triangle. To help us, we have this line drawn up and down, which is the height of that triangle. Across the bottom from here to here is 2.5. The diagonal side is 6. We can use the Pythagorean theorem. 2.5 squared plus h squared equals 6 squared. 2.5 squared is 6.25. 6 squared is 36. Now subtract 6.25 from both sides. We get 29.75. Then do the square root. The height of the base is 5.45 feet. The reason why we found the height of the base was to find the area of the triangle-shaped base. Area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. So that's 1/2 times 5 times the 5.45. This is 13.6 square feet. That's the area of the triangle, which in our volume formula is the capital B. So in the parentheses, we fill in 13.6. 13.6 times 7 makes 95.4 cubic feet. These problems illustrate that while the volume formula for a prism or for a cylinder are very straightforward, sometimes you have to do extra math work to figure out the numbers that you need to fill in for the variables. Move ahead to the check your understanding problems, number 10. We're not actually going to answer problem 10, but we're going to use this problem to remind us of the kinds of units that you use to measure different aspects of a three-dimensional shape. If you want to measure perimeter, you have to think about what that means. That is the distance around a shape. That's measured in regular units. If you want to measure surface area, think about what that means. That's the number of square units that can be imprinted on the surface of a three-dimensional object. So surface area is measured in square units. And if you want to measure volume, that's the amount of space contained within a three-dimensional object. Volume is measured in cubic units. So to summarize, in this lesson, we created the formulas that are used to find the volume of a prism and volume of a cylinder. Volume equals area of the base times the height. And in the case of a cylinder, it's really the same formula, but the area of the base can be found with pi r squared, and then you times by the height.